Modern day men are weak hipsters. A woman engaging in online dating has doubts about the man she's chatting with. She claims that he's showing signs of being sexist. Are they still a good match? Find out in today's episode of Coach Ben's Case by Case.
I think the guy I'm talking to might be displaying signs of being very sexist. I met this guy on a dating app about a week ago, and we clicked instantly. Talking to him feels refreshing because he seems very authentic and respectful. He hasn't tried to make any moves or initiate anything sexual yet, we just have good conversations. We also have similar interests, hobbies, and life goals. All of that being said, he occasionally says things that strike me as being misogynistic. A few days ago, he asked me to plan a date with him, and I told him I wasn't quite ready for that. I normally put this off for a few weeks due to social anxiety, but he didn't know that at the time. He replied by basically saying that he doesn't like the dating scene, that it's better to get to know people in person, and that he feels like women are often hesitant to meet because they like getting attention from men online.
Ah, yes. The absolutely horrific world of online dating, which I never promote as a relationship coach. And I'll tell you why throughout this entire case, in case you haven't seen my previous 150 shows. I think the guy I'm talking to, she's 26 and he's 31, might be displaying signs of being very sexist. Okay, kind of a strong accusation here. Let's see if that's valid. I met this guy on a dating app about a week ago, and we clicked instantly. Talking to him feels refreshing because he seems very authentic and respectful. He hasn't tried to make any moves or initiate anything sexual yet. We just have good conversations. Okay, that's good. You have to establish a good friendship. This is online, so it's a bit weak, but it's okay. You guys are talking about what you have in common, just kind of having good conversations. That's okay. It's better than nothing, right? We also have similar interests, hobbies, and life goals. All of that being said, he occasionally says things that strike me as being misogynistic. Okay, so we're already tossing in the terms, really strong terms here. You're talking about a guy you met online on a dating app, of all things. Sexist and misogynistic. Doesn't sound too good already. A few days ago, he asked me to plan a date with him. That sounds more like it. And I told him I wasn't quite ready for that. I normally put this off for a few weeks due to social anxiety. Normally? What do you mean normally put this off? This is the first time he's asking you, or is this the second time, or is this a whole different person who's asking you all together? That's kind of a missing little piece there in that puzzle. But he didn't know that at the time. He replied by basically saying that he doesn't like the dating scene. Well, neither do I. Young lady, neither do I. Stay far away from the dating scene. I did a show called Stop Dating People, and I strongly believe that friendship, if it's good enough friendship, then it will lead to greater things. But you guys have to both understand not to play the dating game. Just go out together, but don't call it a date. Just go through the friendship phase, and if anything happens afterwards, then so it happens. And if it doesn't, then there's no point in being friends, right? That way, dating, you don't pretend to be somebody else that you're not. That it's better to get to know people in person. Yes, he's got his head screwed on correctly, apparently so far. And that he feels like women are often hesitant to meet offline because they like getting attention from men online. Well, yes and no. That could apply to women, but mostly toxic females who just want a little ego boost off of a bunch of what people call simps, which I disagree with that term. It's just males out there who are desperate for attention, willing to give you that attention. So it's kind of attention for attention. It's a senseless give and take. Because the toxic females will they love all the attention, but they're offline, they're living depressing lives. They don't have real love in their lives, so they soak up all that senseless drama attention online. Either good or bad attention, it doesn't matter. Good publicity, bad publicity, it's all the same. And then so what people call simps, which are really just males desperate for attention as well, they give all of these toxic females all their attention and then hoping that they'll get attention in return, that recognition for giving them all that attention. So one is thirsty for attention. No, both of them are. Toxic males and females. And I say toxic males, what people call simps, because they're so desperate for attention that they're willing to toss away their entire bank accounts to these toxic females who seek attention online. They ruin their lives over the illusion of being with these toxic females. That's the problem. So they're being toxic to themselves by being so desperate and harming themselves financially. And even if they're rich people, rich males, they're still hurting themselves because it's a senseless, meaningless relationship, just like people paying, toxic females in any other avenue online. It doesn't matter what the source is. You're throwing away your money and your time, and you're not progressing in life. And before you know it, you're 40, 50, 60, and you're lonely and depressed, and you're still at square one. So that's why I'm against all of this online dating, because it's the same as throwing your money away to these people who just want attention, and that's all they want. They're not there to help you or to entertain you. I mean, I guess you can call that entertainment. So let's go ahead and take a look here. So she says that he doesn't like the dating scene. He wants to meet offline, but she's not ready because she has social anxiety issues. Well, that's a big red flag on your side, young lady. It looks like you're the one with the red flag yet. Let's see if, however, if you're correct about him being a sexist and a misogynist and maybe a potential creep, right? Let's go ahead and see. Because that's the risk that you take online. You don't really know who's behind that screen unless you guys are doing camera to camera. But it's also a risk because you're putting your face out there for a lot of different risks, about a dozen at least. So let's go ahead and proceed with the case and see how it further develops, shall we?
I was really upset, so I basically told him off. He apologized, told me he felt embarrassed, and retracted some of what he said. He also explained that he has been treated badly in past relationships, which is something I can empathize with and relate to. So I decided to overlook that message and give him a chance. Fast forward to today. We spent a lot of time texting back and forth and even played some games together. We found out we have the same love language, quality time. We exchanged some selfies followed by some compliments. Then the topic of hipster cafes came up. He told me that he hates hipster men. I get that many people dislike hipsters, but the men part felt weird to me, so I asked him why.
Oh boy. Sounding like we're dealing with a sensitive person here. This young female here. This young woman. Let's go ahead and take a closer look, shall we? I was really upset. Really? Why? I mean, he's not wrong by saying that toxic females want attention, and that is very common, especially on the online dating apps everywhere. There's a lot of falsities, there's a lot of pretenders, liars, and it's also dangerous to a certain extent as well. So how could you be really upset? You might be a little disappointed, but it sounds like extreme. You already called him a sexist, misogynist, and now you're really upset. So again, the red flags seem to be more on your side, the way I see it so far. So I basically told him off. Well, that doesn't sound good. Did you lose your temper verbally? I mean, I don't know if he's going to be so eager to see you offline anymore. He apologized. Okay, what a gentleman. Sounds like a gentleman. Told me he felt embarrassed and retracted some of what he said. Okay, some of it. What he said is a fact. He didn't say that you're desperate for attention. He said that that's pretty much the norm. He also explained that he has been treated badly in past relationships, which is something, so he's tired of it. He wants somebody authentic, someone genuine. which is something I can empathize with and relate to. So I decided to overlook that message and give him a chance. Of course, fast forward to today, we spent a lot of time texting back and forth and even played some games together. We found out we have the same love language, quality time. We exchanged some selfies, followed by some compliments. Then the topic of hipster cafes came up. Okay, what's this about? He told me that he hates hipster men. I get that many people dislike hipsters, but the men part felt weird to me. So I asked him why. Okay, so what's a hipster? A hipster is a slang term for a person who follows the latest trends, fashions, and clothing and lifestyle. Just being glamorous, if you will, trying to impress others, especially those regarded as being outside of the cultural mainstream. Okay, that's what a hipster is. They're trying to be as unorthodox as possible to grab attention. So, okay, I can see why. See, he doesn't like the facade. He doesn't like the charades, the pretending of being somebody you're not. So he doesn't like... this guy's already on a great track, which I disagree with him trying the online dating, but he might be in a desperate position. I don't know. So far, he sounds like a gentleman. I mean, let's take a look at what he said, right? So he says he doesn't like online dating because there's a lot of fakes out there. And you're calling him a potential sexist and misogynist for basically no reason, from what I can see, just because of a remark that he made that's actually factual. So he doesn't want the online dating bad experiences like his past relationships because he said it, they ended badly. And he also said that many are toxic females anyway. That's why, pretty much the reason. And now he's saying that he doesn't like men who behave as somebody else, as something that they're not, the hipsters. There's nothing bad here. These are opinions. How could you be really upset and concerned about what he said about hipsters? These are very innocent things here. He didn't offend you. So, like I said before in the very beginning, I think the red flags sounds like a gentleman to me. Again, from what I'm analyzing right here in the case, from what we have as evidence, he doesn't sound like a bad person right now. So, fast forwarding to today, I mean, texting back and forth, you guys are having a good time. I mean, how serious are you about trying to find somebody online and to meet with offline? That's my main question as of now. How serious are you? How deep is your eagerness? Because it sounds like you're trying to ruin a good thing here by thinking way too much into it, being overly sensitive, already really upset, and you're saying you have a great time, yada yada. This guy is pretty rare to find, especially online. I mean, he's actually withstanding the nonsense coming on your side. Not to be too harsh, but that's nonsense. It doesn't make any sense to be this upset or concerned. It's not like he said anything highly controversial or offensive. So you asked him why. So let's find out why. Let's see what his magical explanation is, because this is rather quite humorous at this point.
He said something along the lines of, they're weak and lack stoicism. Men are supposed to be strong and modern men don't share those values. I found this horrifying and basically told him as much. We went back and forth on this topic for a while, not really arguing but just explaining our views on gender roles and the reasoning behind those views. He said that even though he holds himself to a certain standard based on his gender, he wouldn't expect me to do the same thing. I want to believe him, but I'm starting to see some red flags. I'm so conflicted because we have a pretty great connection so far, and I don't want to throw that away.
Okay. So, I guess it's not really a rabbit hole, but the plot thickens. We'll just go ahead and leave it at that. So, let's go ahead and see what we have here. He said something along the lines of, they are weak and lack stoicism. For those of you who don't know what stoicism is, it's basically being a gentleman and kind and considerate human being, trying to look for solutions, not problems, yada yada. There's an official definition for it, but it's a good thing, okay? Men are supposed to be strong, and modern men don't share those values. So he doesn't believe in modern day men. I can assume he's not being naive here, assuming that every man is like that, because then it would apply to him as well. So again, he's pointing out that when he said women are looking for attention, the toxic females, I understand. He's not saying all women. Okay, and here, he's also not saying all men. He's just saying modern day men. So he's saying it's like an epidemic. It's like a big problem. That's all he's saying. So it is a blanket statement. He should articulate that better. But is it really that bad to be concerned about it? Is it really that bad of a statement? So let's go ahead and see here. I found this horrifying. Horrifying? How is this horrifying? It's just simply two opinions. Again, she's really overreacting. Wow. So far in this show, case by case, this has got to be the most exaggerated interpretation of a person's words. This is definitely a first in case by case. Horrifying, and basically told him as much. We went back and forth on this topic for a while. What is there to go back and forth on? Not really arguing, but just explaining our views. Okay, that's good, I guess. On gender roles. Oh boy. Could only imagine what she has to say about gender roles with an attitude like this. And the reasoning behind those views. Okay, let's see how they got into it. He said that even though he holds himself to a certain standard based on his gender, he wouldn't expect me to do the same. Okay, once he's being quite a gentleman. I want to believe him. Oh, great. You have trust issues, young lady. It's even more evident now more than ever. But I'm starting to see some red flags. What are those red flags? I mean, this is lack of discernment we're talking about here. If you were to present this case to anybody else, they would be like, I think you're overreacting here. You're taking things a little too to the extreme. I'm so conflicted because we have a pretty great connection so far. Exactly, you guys do. And I don't want to throw that away. And in the end, I'll explain how I think about it. I already told you that I'm against online dating, but this is as good as it gets in the online realm when it comes to dating apps. So she's ruining a good thing for what it was intended to be. It's supposed to work, theoretically, on paper, logically, but she's taking what the app is actually designed for and ruining it by testing his patience. So let's see how much patience this gentleman has, because I have nothing bad to say about him so far, or if anything.
Like I said earlier, he seems very respectful and hasn't done anything creepy, which is rare, in my experience, on dating apps. I even told him I'm grey asexual and he said he didn't mind, and even asked me to educate him on the subject. He genuinely seems like a really good person, but I'm worried that if we date, he will see me as lesser, or expect me to change the way I express myself. What should I do?
Okay, so I'm a little bit genuinely shocked here. A bit of an exaggeration, but seriously, did we seriously not... Is this all there is to the case? Is that all she has to complain about? She says she's conflicted because we have a pretty great connection and she doesn't want to throw that away. But clearly she's throwing it away from what we can see. So hopefully here we'll get the final explanation as to why. What's causing her to have these extreme thoughts and emotions here? Oh, this overreaction, this exaggeration over this gentleman that she met online. And these trust issues. Like I said earlier, he seems very respectful. Yes, he is. All the evidence points to, yes, he's being very respectful and very patient, might I add. And hasn't done anything creepy. It sounds like you're fearing that something creepy is going to come up. So, which is rare in my experience on dating apps. So then why use dating apps if you find that the majority of people are creepy? And also the same applies to the gentleman as well. You know, you're better than this. Why are you on a dating app, young man? I mean, just go ahead and do what you told her to, what you suggested her to do, which is meet offline anyway. Just skip the whole... See, this is why I'm against online dating. You're going to have to meet offline anyway. It's simple logic. So, just because technology exists doesn't mean we have to apply it in every aspect of our lives. And that's why, even minus technology, forget about technology, if we just throw away the concept of dating and just establish a solid friendship, then you'll have the highest opportunity and chance to establish a meaningful possible future relationship. That's just how easy it is. So we went from offline dating, as goofy as that is, and yes, there are cases where that has worked, but it's a huge risk nonetheless. And then you turn it into an online translation, which is even worse because you take it away, the person-to-person interaction. Even it doesn't, despite the cameras, the audios and visuals, it just doesn't connect. You still have to meet offline. This is reality, people. Which is rare in my experience on dating apps. I even told him I'm gray asexual. Okay, let's see what that is. Gray sexuality, or asexuality, with the gray term, is a term to describe people who experience limited sexual attraction, similar to the demisexual nonsense that we heard earlier in a previous show on the Perfect Soulmate show. They may only feel sexual attraction rarely, with low intensity, or under certain conditions. Mom, this is, wow. I have, this is just speechless zone. Just because there's a definition for these things doesn't mean that it's right. It sounds to me that these are mental and emotional problems that they need to resolve before even thinking about trying to find somebody else to potentially establish a successful relationship with. Even a friendship with, by the way. And he said he didn't mind. And he even asked me to educate him on the subject. Okay? He genuinely seems like a really good person, but I'm worried that if we date, he will see me as lesser or expect me. So she has insecurity issues on top of it. On top of all the other issues she has, now she's insecure. That's what this is all about. She's hesitant. He has trust issues, insecurity issues, exaggeration, lack of discernment, and pretty much wasting this guy's time. To change the way I express myself, what should I do? I don't think he's expecting to himself, but eventually he will. That's the bad news. It's actually good news for him, but bad news for you because I see you as highly immature. I don't think you know what you want. I don't think you're ready to commit, and here you are goofing around with an online dating app. He's serious. He sounds very serious. He wants to meet you offline. And you're finding every little tiny thing to complain about it and to not make that happen. So, if you're not serious, stay off the dating apps. Stop wasting other people's time. Unless you want to find another toxic male to waste your time with because you're being toxic at this point. You're exaggerating things that he didn't mean. He clearly, and he has a lot of patience to explain himself. I imagine there's a lot of more dialogue that you're not sharing here. You're not giving him enough credit for. So either that guy is desperate, but in a gentleman way, because he should not be on an app. Nobody who's a real gentleman should be using an online dating app. Where's your dignity? That's how against online dating I am. Get offline, be a real man, be a real woman, and meet each other somewhere. Enough with the games. Because this right here is playing games. That's all this nonsense is. Gray sexuality, she says gray asexual. What is that? I already gave the definition, but what is that precisely? That is a hesitation. That's a personal and emotional, that's a mental, emotional, and personal problem that you have that you need to resolve. You are not ready for a potential future relationship. You need to resolve these issues. Your insecurity, your lack of trust. I'm not saying trust anybody online or offline. I'm saying you already have, it's really clearly evident. You have trust issues and everything else that I mentioned earlier. You're just a total mess. You're not the worst case by any chance. Not even, you're not. You're fine, okay? You're going to be fine, but you're just not ready. I mean, you didn't curse at all. You didn't use these crazy, exaggerated, things that had nothing to do with the topic. You didn't go there. You didn't skew off topic. So let's go ahead and take a final analysis of this case because, wow, this one was a little bit surprising. I don't recommend online dating for anyone because eventually you'll have to meet offline anyway, as I said before. Online dating makes those with social anxiety, such as this young lady here, even worse. It also encourages people to treat each other much like products instead of real people. Most things online, I'm going to tell you, are about senseless drama or silly little games like this. So you have a potential gentleman, from what I could see, based on the evidence, he sounds like a gentleman. A little bit desperate because why are you using an app? Get off of the app. If you're such a gentleman, go out there and find somebody. And it doesn't matter, how bad you think you'll do. Just get better at it, right? And for her, you're also desperate because you're using an online dating app. Anybody using an online dating app is pretty much a desperate person. Maybe because of so many failed relationships. That's a fear. That's what brings you to these online dating apps, is because you fear, and she actually proved it in this case, describing it herself, that she has this type of phobia. She didn't say phobia, but that's what it's translating to. Of meeting with him offline. She fears that he might be a creep, or that I don't like a couple of things you said because those are red flags. I'm going to call you a misogynist right off the bat. I'm going to call you a sexist for no reason. So she's making any excuse not to meet this guy offline when he's the best so far out of any dating situation online that I've seen. But once again, I'm completely against online dating apps and all, the concept in general for this very reason. It's nothing but pretending to be somebody that you're not. Just because you guys got along and you guys had some great conversations, you think he's such a great guy. If he's such a great guy, why aren't you eager to meet him offline? What's going on in that mind of yours? You don't know what you want. You're not serious about finding a man. Because any real man or woman who is serious about finding a potential future partner through establishing a fantastic friendship first, becoming best friends first. Anybody using these dating apps is not serious. They're using it, they're taking the route of fear. You fear seeing people offline because maybe you got burnt in a previous failed relationship. Doesn't matter if it's 1, 2, 3, I don't know what the body count is. It doesn't matter. The fact that you're using these silly online dating apps is because you fear a person-to-person interaction, just like the good old days, just like humanity has always done. And so now it's becoming a lost art of getting to know somebody to potentially become friends with the opposite sex, to potentially fall in love with in a future relationship, if that's going to happen, if things go the right way. So like I always say, ditch dating offline and ditch online dating altogether. Stop playing games. If you want to really find something meaningful, something that has a potential to get you somewhere in the realm of love, somebody who's worth your time, your effort, your love, your attention. If you really want to find that person, you have to meet them offline. Now, online technology is a fantastic research, tool. It's a fantastic educational tool, like right here, right now, going over cases and relationships. So this is a teaching platform, even though YouTube is more of an entertainment platform, I understand. So using a tool for the right way, saying, okay, this is something productive. I have nothing against that. I believe that it's a double-edged sword, though, because once you toss in dating into the technological realm, it becomes a circus. Because there's too many liars, there's too many people with mental and emotional issues, just like as seen in this case. The guy's not that bad, but we don't know him 100%. We only know that he was trying to meet this young woman offline. So, don't know what's going to happen there, but my prediction is she's probably going to continue with her phobia of wanting to meet him offline, create any excuse whatsoever, which is wasting his precious time. And hopefully he'll learn to just put away the app as well. Just delete it. Delete the app and go back to meeting people offline, because it sounds like he's ready to go and she's not. So, One is more mature than the other, but they both are desperate to meet somebody to one level or another. So that's all I got for this case, and this has been Coach Ben's Case by Case. Much love, everybody.